A cordless phone, and it will charge by itself on a stand? Blasphemy!
Woo.
Burn the witch! What up, everybody? You are back in tune with episode 6 of In the Fields podcast. It's me, Johnny, with my lovely fiance, soon-to-be wife, Lisa.
That's me.
And we are here, guys, back with episode 6. And yeah, man, I just wanna touch on real quick that we have made it past 90% of all podcasts that have ever started. Fun fact: 90% of podcasts that start don't make it past episode 3. And you guys can look that up. That's a real fact. And we've made it twice as far now at this point for the episode 6, man. So
and more to come.
Hell yeah, man. I'll probably... That was me hitting a button to make the crowd cheer. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. Anyway, so yeah, guys, thank you guys for being in tune with us. Episode 6, we're here. And this episode, we're going to be honing in on dealing with difficult people. Without losing your mind, of course, because, you know, everybody has their own way of dealing with people. But I think, obviously, here we try to push more healthy habits, more positive energy, and just navigating those feels that revolve around that.
We all come across them. So, I mean. Yeah,
hell yeah, man.
It's definitely a relevant topic because it's something nearly everyone is going to experience.
Yeah, man, and I think I want to start today with a question of the day that was submitted to us. It was submitted to us from our Facebook page.
Nice.
And I want to pull it up.
Make sure you guys go follow all the socials.
Yes, make sure you guys are sending in question of the day. This is how we can just give you guys our perspective on things and how we think you can handle certain situations.
How we've maybe navigated those same
And it's just a way of opening ourselves to our community. This is how you guys can get a hold of us and like kind of get in touch with us and kind of get that one-on-one connection with us by submitting these questions. And the question of the day is, what are some strategies that you guys have found effective for dealing with difficult people?
I guess it just comes down to really discovering what kind of difficult person you're dealing with and understanding that there could be depths to it, right? Like there's layers to it because somebody being difficult doesn't necessarily equate to them just being a difficult person. Like we have to evaluate, like, are they going through something?
Mm-hmm.
Like
the type of difficult person you're dealing with. Because there's like intentionally difficult.
Yeah.
And then there's
somebody who's just
people who are just having a bad day. Yeah, like some people have a bad day and you just happen to be the Jenga block that gets knocked out of place. You know what I mean?
And I feel like there is ways to pick up on that energy and like really feel it out to determine whether or not it's like something of that sort. Like you could kind of tell when somebody's off and having a bad day. And like there's a way to not take it personally. But I think realistically, like for me anyway, it's counteracting it with like positivity. Like, I'm sorry that, you might be having a bad time. Like, is there anything I could do to help you? Like, try to offer some type of support. But when there's situations where it is more of like a negative connotation and it isn't so much just because they're having a bad day, just because they want to be difficult, I personally I put up those boundaries where I'm like, that's not something I want to be involved in. That's not something I want to deal with. So I kind of just take myself out of that equation. Like, you know what?
Because sometimes it's too much to deal with.
Yeah.
Like sometimes
you're not about to come over here and mess up my peace.
Yeah, that's a fact. I don't have time for that, especially when, those type of certain, like we spoke about it in other episodes too, like how people need to just like hold themselves accountable. Like some people need to address the fact that like, yo, I am having a rough day, or, hey, I'm sorry if I snapped at you because, I'm just having a rough day. It wasn't you. Thank you for doing X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's a big thing is understanding that that's more of a them thing and it's not because of you. Like you're not the cause for them being difficult. They're coming to you with that type of energy, but don't take it so personally.
Yeah, no,
because it has nothing to do with you at the end of the day.
Yeah, man, and I think that would be the healthiest way to, handle those situations when you come across not necessarily difficult people, but even just regular people who are having difficult moments. You know,
Yeah,
that's the
that's a
big
big
determining
one.
factor, because there's a big difference between somebody who's actually just a difficult person. And, you know, those are people who have their own unpacked,
Unhealed
on things they're
traumas.
going through, and they're just not there yet. You know what I mean? And that takes time for
Yeah.
everybody to get there. I think we talked about the healing journey in prior episodes. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely something that takes time.
Usually
and,
comes from like insecurities, unresolved issues that people are dealing
yeah,
with, and they just don't
unpackaged.
know how to cope with that stuff. Which, like I said in episode 1, when you don't go down your healing journey,
Yeah.
you end up taking a lot of that stuff with you throughout your life.
Yeah.
And here you are being difficult for everyone around you and not understanding why you can't have meaningful relationships with people because you're not dealing with your issues.
Yeah, and when you navigate or try to navigate life, where I would consider as like somebody who is unhealed, or maybe you have like unpackaged things,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a difficult journey. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
difficult journey. You feel like everything is a shortcoming, and you know it becomes rough. So yeah, I think the biggest thing to focus on when dealing with a difficult person is hone in on the type of difficult person you're dealing with.
Be
Is it somebody
understanding.
who is difficult, or are they just going through something? You know what I mean? Because that's a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Well, it's
'Cause-
important on knowing how to be empathetic with those
Yeah.
people. Like, obviously not excusing bad behavior,
of course,
but have some type of empathy and understanding that, like, hey, you know, it has nothing to do
life
with
be
you.
life, and
Yeah.
I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Life be life, and so yeah, man. I think that's
That was
how
a
I would
good
definitely answer that.
question.
Yeah, no, definitely a good question.
I like
Definitely
that.
a make you think type of
Hmm.
question.
Make you ponder.
But yeah, guys, definitely going to be talking about how to deal with difficult people, whether it's within family relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, coworkers,
Strangers.
Yeah, man. But before we do all that,
Uh-huh.
we definitely got to give them a word from our sponsors. You guys already know, man.
All right, guys, you know what time it is. A word from our sponsor. Back at it again here with the Oula-Lade, the best lemonade that you could possibly find here in the ABE, possibly in the world, that we would say.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the
Yeah.
entire world. Honestly. Yeah, the best drink sponsor. The only drink sponsor of In the Fields podcast, the best lemonade made with love, fresh squeezed. Yeah, man. Shout out to La Shells, bro. We're going to give you your flowers every single episode because
Every
this is
single
the bee's knees.
time.
I think this one's papaya, and I'm excited to try it. Shout out
It
to my
smells
daughter,
really good.
Maya Papaya. All right, let's take a sip.
Mm.
Yep.
I don't know what papaya ever tasted like because I don't think I've ever eaten a papaya, but this is good.
Yeah. Wow. I think there might be pineapple chunks in there too. Yeah,
he
man.
never misses.
No, these all slap. Yeah, man. Oula-Lade, made with love, fresh squeezed. The only drink sponsor of In the Fields podcast. If you're not drinking this lemonade, you're drinking dog water. Other than that, man, back to the episode. All right, guys, and we are back with episode 6. And like I said, on this episode, we're going to be talking about dealing with difficult people without losing your mind, of course. You know what I mean? Because there's
Got to keep your cool.
different ways to deal with difficult people, but of course, you don't want to get yourself in trouble. That's obviously important. Yeah, man, I think one of the types of difficult people that I have my biggest problem with are the type of people that when you have an idea or you tell them about something, oh, there goes my cat. Sorry, guys. Yeah, the type of difficult person I have the most trouble dealing with is the type of person that when I bring my ideas to them or I bring some sort of aspiration to them, the Debbie Downers, the people who try to talk you out of your own plan. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like when you're like, oh my God, I got this crazy idea, or
And they downplay it.
and they hit you with the, don't you think that's like unrealistic though? Or like,
Are you sure you're capable
yeah, are
of
you
doing
sure that's
that?
gonna even work? Like, doesn't that seem unrealistic? Like, no shit. every idea is unrealistic until I make it real.
Yeah. And I know we talked about that in the friendship episode.
Yeah, and it's like, bro, unrealistic, literally every idea that you could think of. A phone that didn't have to be plugged into the wall. The first guy that said that probably sounded like a madman. What do you mean cordless phone? Cordless?
How could the sound
even how could the sound even travel without there being a cord? Like, yeah, bro. They must have been like, what is this witchery that you speak of? A cordless device?
Yeah.
A cordless phone. And it will charge by itself on a stand? Blasphemy.
Woo.
Burn the witch. You know what I mean? Like, bro, come on. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, bro. I think those are the most difficult type of people for me because, first of all, I aspire to do a lot. I'm a person who is chock full of ideas. Anybody that knows me knows that, like, I've always got something up my sleeve, or I'm always cooking something up.
I think you're good at everything, honestly.
If I put my mind to it, but that's anything. It's a skill. Everything is a skill for the most part. Like, if you put your mind to it, you could do it. But yeah, man, those type of people that you pull up on that you be so excited to share shit with too, that's when it hurts the most. Yeah. Like, or when it's the most difficult to deal with, because it's like, yo, when you be so excited to share with somebody and they just downplay it, it just hits different.
Yeah, but I think it's important to like explore, right, the possible causes behind that type of behavior. Is it fear? Is it insecurities? Is it their lack of communication efforts that they still haven't mastered? You know what I mean? Like, is it their past traumas that, you know, or there's something that's bringing them to that? Because like you said, for you, like for me, I would say the most difficult person for me to be around is somebody who just is always looking at the glass half empty. Like, no matter what is happening, they will just focus on every small possible negative thing that they could find. Mm-hmm. And instead of focusing on the bigger picture, it's like, woe is me all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how do you go through life like that and expect for people to not want to be around you? Because when you're a consistently difficult person, 9 times out of 10, slowly but surely, you're going to start losing everybody in your life.
Yeah, and I think that can stem from, too, just not being able to validate yourself, like seeking a lot of outside validation. So, like, in that interim of somebody who always seeks outside validation, or feeling the need for it, sometimes you're not good at providing it either. Like, it's like people come to you with their aspirations and shit, and it's like, because of you feeling like you need outside validation, like, you don't grant that to other people in a sense because of, like, the trauma that ensues with that. Like, it's like you're stuck in a certain way, and because of that, it in turn, like, you almost like become the person you hate in a sense.
That's
so deep. Yeah, man, I just those are the type of difficult people I have a hard time dealing with. And with the one that you brought up, the negative Nancy's, the people who just always walking around with a storm cloud, bro, those people are so draining.
It's hard. It's hard to navigate that, because despite how much you try to pour into them to share that positive side, it's like they don't even care to want to hear it, because to them, they're like, well, I don't see it that way.
Yeah.
It's like this way or no way. And it's like, well, I can only try to be positive for so long. And if you're just going to keep continuing to shoot down any cool or nice thing that I'm trying to display to you, then clearly we can't have a conversation then, because I can't keep doing this circle trick that we're doing.
Yeah, and a lot of those people aren't happy with themselves, you know? They're just they're in a space where, like, and I get it. Like, when you come from, let's say, a background where you're unable to make, you know, let's say your parents proud, or maybe like you came from a background where none of your friends were uplifting, or maybe you were the friend that got picked on out of your group, or whatever the case is. Like, a lot of the time when you've never had somebody to tell you, like, yo, you're doing a good job, or yo, I'm proud of you, a lot of the time that carries over into your adulthood.
I dealt with that.
And it carries on even through how you treat people. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't imagine being the parent that I am today had I held on
To the
to a lot of
resentment.
things from my past. You know what I mean? And I think that's
It's part of the healing journey.
yeah,
You have to go through those things.
and I think it's dope too because it allows us, right? Like we've dealt with difficult people, whether it's especially in our families. So it's like it allows us, especially in today's time, to like you always say, like give grace, right? Like
yeah,
give
that's my
people
biggest thing.
yeah, either give yourself grace,
Or
right?
give
Like give
other
yourself
people
like give yourself
grace.
a pat on the back and say you're proud of yourself, but also like giving other people that grace. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like I don't fully understand my parents' upbringing, so I can't condemn them for the parenting skills that they were maybe taught.
Yeah,
Or
and
the
they
or the
didn't
type
have the
of
tools to learn from
yeah.
that.
And I think any therapist or doctor or anybody who deals with mental health, especially in today's time, like you guys know, like we're way more self-aware than we used to be.
Yeah.
You know what
That's
I
why
mean?
I say all the time, like, I'm in school for psychology, and yes, like, everything we're taught is true. There's research, statistics, there's things that back it. But in today's time, with where we're at today, to me, I feel like a lot of it is outdated and does need to be updated. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of new studies and research needs to be done to see the evolution of time of how, like, things were handled then and how things are handled now. Because back then, when all these studies and all these, diagnoses and research,
Diagnoses.
all of this stuff,
Sorry.
all of this.
Diagnoses, aflosis, kyphosis. My bad.
Sorry,
I
I
love
was
you.
in a
You be
mental
getting
flow
you
right
be getting in
there.
your M&M bag.
But no, when all of that stuff was originally created and discovered, it was just a different era. So like that stuff, a lot of it coincides with the way people lived their lives back then, which we do it so differently now.
Yeah.
So where's the new studies? Where's the new research to coincide with how we live today?
Yeah, where's the updated book?
Yeah, like how much?
Because I don't want to hear about a study that was done in 1991 when we're almost we're more than 30 years after that, dude.
Yeah.
What are we doing? We're past almost 4 decades past that. Why are we?
Yeah. Like social media plays a big influence
That
on
didn't
people
didn't
nowadays.
exist back then. Yeah, so it's just a lot of things are different. I mean, even we just saw about the income, the cost of
yeah,
living
that's
versus income, bro.
crazy.
That pay gap between what the cost of income has gone up and how the or the cost of living has gone up versus how much we get paid. That gap is so stressful, and I don't think people realize that, especially people like back in the 50s and 60s, bro. They talk to millennials and other generations like, yo, you guys got it so easy. And I'm like, yo, bro, no offense. I couldn't buy a house for a bushel of blueberries. Leave me alone, okay? The cost of living right now is so expensive, man. Like you can't even live in a regular little town. So it's like, bro, that's so stressful.
I think it's just important to just overall be humble in the fact of knowing, like, take a step back and look at your own struggles. Like, look at how your life runs. Your job, your kids, your home, your bills. Imagine your stress, right? How you handle it. Like, just focus on everything you deal with and then try to take a step back and take a look from the outside and be like, this person over here also deals with all of those things plus more probably, because we don't know. Everybody deals with the same, like, similar standard of life stressors. But then there's always everybody's individual life stressors that they have to deal with and carry with them through lives.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a lot of the time where people don't intend to be difficult. I know I've had times where I was difficult. It's not that I meant to be, but I was, because of stuff that I was maybe going through. And I think that's like one of the key importance, right? Is to just decipher between like somebody that's in a bad mood versus like actual toxic patterns.
Yeah.
That I feel like is the biggest key of like
That's the key takeaway from this episode for sure. Because I feel like that's a reoccurring theme is like,
how do you decipher between the two?
yeah, and that's big too because it also like it also means that we, as much as we need to be self-aware, we need to learn social cues and things like that to be as aware of our surroundings as well.
And navigate everything.
Because knowing that and becoming understanding, like I said, it kind of almost gives you like emotional and mental freedom in a sense, bro. Because now you can pick and choose how to handle situations. You have just so much more control. It feels like you have your hands on the wheel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of the time we navigate life and, bro, sometimes we just don't have two hands on the wheel, man. Sometimes we're just so not in tune that, you know, it kind of makes it difficult for us to be aware of what anybody else is going on. It's hard to decipher amongst that, and then you just kind of like fight or flight it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of it too, you know, when you find yourself in that situation, being emotionally aware and self-aware and all these things, it helps you navigate those situations when you face them, because when you are able to obtain that, right, you're able to really navigate how to handle that situation. Like how frustrating is it like dealing with that person? You know, what techniques are you able to do to keep yourself calm in those situations instead of allowing them to rile you up or piss you off or upset you? Like, how are you able to manage your emotions in dealing with that situation? You know what I mean? Like, are you able to stay calm? Are you able to just know when enough is enough and like maybe you should walk away?
Yeah. Do you have like that emotional discipline to navigate that effectively?
Because or are you gonna keep pushing buttons and poke the bear to make that difficult person get even more upset or more angry? Well, and that's the thing too
with difficult people is you have to be disciplined with your boundaries, because difficult people push the envelope.
Oh, yeah.
They test boundaries.
Yeah.
So, you know, dealing with difficult people, as much of a problem as it can be, it's also necessary to go through, because it teaches you how to stand 10 toes down on your boundaries. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean business.
Yeah, bro, these are in place
Yeah.
for you to respect them. And if you don't, then that means I'm going to have to navigate this differently. Like you said, I'm going to have to remove myself from the situation. Once I determine that you're actually being difficult, it's not just a moment.
Yeah.
Once I determine that, now I know, okay, now we go to phase 2 boundaries, which are now I need to distance myself. We need to, you know, not necessarily excommunicado where we don't have to talk anymore, but I've gotten to that extent with some people where it's like, yo, bro, you're causing me too much stress.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, bro, I'm out. I don't got the life is way too short for me to be hoping that you figure it the fuck out.
Yeah. But then it's like too, like in our friendship episode, you know, call your friends out. Like if you can tell that, you know, a friend of yours that isn't typically that type of person, but you could see them going down a path where they're becoming a difficult person and you know them not to be as such, check in on them.
Yeah.
Be like, bro, I can tell you clearly have something going on. I know you haven't talked about it. Maybe you don't want to talk about it,
and
but
even
just
if it's not
know,
in the moment, even if it's not in the moment, let's say you let whatever happen, like the dust settle, let the dust settle.
Are you good?
Yo, bro, the other day, I didn't want to say nothing, bro, in the moment because I didn't want to trigger you in any sense, but like, yo, bro, you was tripping the other day. Are you good?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I'm your homie, so naturally,
I want to check in.
I'm checking in on you, and I just don't, like, I would feel bad if that was somebody who doesn't respect you or care for you the way that I do. Like, that situation could have gone way worse had it been anybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, like you said, to do that check-in is so important, man, because when it's really your friend
or family,
you know,
anybody
it's not,
you care
know it's
about.
not intentional when it's somebody you love and it's really your friend. Like 9 times out of 10, it's not intentional, because there occasionally are people who just are difficult people, bro. But you know, when it's somebody you care about and it's somebody you really just have a deeper connection with, it is something usually that is minor, and it's not. It's usually a minor. My bad.
You would go there.
It's usually a minor problem that, you know, is temporary. It's not something that is
Yeah.
permanent, and it's something that you can address definitely, you know,
Yeah.
through
Because
communication.
I know we've had those moments. Like I said, I know I'm not perfect, and I've definitely had
Hell no.
moments where I've been difficult. But
No, she hasn't. That's a
I'm
lie.
an angel.
She has been nothing but the best
Oh my
of the
God.
best to me. I can't even complain. Honestly, where's the HR department? She deserves a raise. She's a wonderful person, beautiful wife. Let me tell you. I know her personally.
I can't stand you.
That's why you're sitting. I'm just kidding. All right, go ahead.
But yeah, no, I've definitely, and like that's the thing, right? Through my healing journey, I'm at a place now where I can take accountability for the toxic, shitty patterns that I displayed through a lot of my life.
Likewise.
And like now I look back and I like laugh at it because I'm like, I was so stupid. Like, why did I even do that? Because like now I question my own behavior.
Yeah.
Now that I am at a way more mentally clear headed space where I'm like, that was dumb.
Yeah.
But I feel like because I experienced so much trauma throughout my life and I did go through all of that, and because I was able to grab myself and go through this healing journey to get out over here on this other side, I feel like I have a broader view and spectrum on things now where I can just be like more understanding to people who are going through things and how people end up being the way that they are and things that coincide with that. Like that's why I got into psychology. But I mean, you know, there's been so many moments that you've checked me, like where you've pulled me aside and been like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, I think what people on the outside forget to realize is that like in those moments, that person's kind of checked out. Like they're not, like I said, noticing the difference between moods and toxic patterns and stuff like that. But when you're stuck in those toxic patterns, that's just normal for you 9 times out of 10. And it's really hard for you to have a clear headspace because you're so stuck in the mindset that you're in that you can't really determine how what you're doing is affecting other people.
Yep.
And a lot of the time, those are the people that need to be called out because they're not self-aware. They're not aware of their surroundings. They're not aware and like thinking clearly. A lot of it is emotion-based. Like it's just a very deep thing. And I think that's like what sucks the most, right? Is because a lot of the time those people feel so stuck and they don't have that support. They don't have a way out because it is hard dealing with those kind of people.
Well, especially if you come from like our generation of adults who a lot of the time as children, like I said, our parents and even their parents, self-awareness, emotional well-being.
I wasn't ever taught that.
A lot of that seemed like an excuse
Yeah.
for the generations before us. Like, so what if you're sad? Like, that was like a thing. Like rub some dirt in it, dude. You still got to do what you got to do. Now, don't get me
Listen.
wrong. There is a certain level of
Structure.
determination and diligence and, you know, perseverance that it teaches you. You know what I mean? That way of thinking, like to push through is important.
But emotionally,
But to also learn when
That
to
is-
take a break and
Yeah.
when to reset is also just as important. Like perseverance, yes, you shouldn't. If I'm editing footage or something, I shouldn't just give up or break my laptop because it crashes. I should persevere, right? Or I should figure out a way to navigate this effectively and do this in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that applies to like everything, dude. Like,
Yeah.
yes, you should push through, you should persevere, you should have determination, but also don't do it to the point where you're going to fucking lose your mind, bro. Like, that's not worth it either. The juice needs to be worth the squeeze. So you need to find a healthy balance between the two. And I think the generations before us,
They didn't
where
know that.
they killed it on the due diligence and, you know, I have a duty to fulfill and I have, you know, I'm going to persevere no matter what, rain, sleet, or snow. I used to walk to school in a foot of snow. Like, yeah, that type of shit. were they used to be able to
Hey,
do
yo.
that and didn't give a fuck about how anybody felt or how they feel. They didn't really care about that shit because it wasn't important
Yeah.
back then. You know, I think that's where we are starting to excel. I think like our generation and maybe even the generations around us, like a couple, you know, that our gap, if you will,
Yeah.
does a pretty good job as far as like trying to find a balance there. You know what I mean? We're not as strict of parents, but like we're also
Gentle parenting is huge
no.
nowadays.
Gentle parenting doesn't work.
I get that. I'm
It
just
doesn't
saying
work.
it is a huge
I'm not
thing
saying there aren't some
nowadays.
cool things that you could probably take from it, because I definitely have taken like some of the concepts, but the overall idea of it to me is like, nah, there still needs to be, once again, there still needs to be
A
that
balance.
level of pushing you to be determined. You need me here
But
because
there's positive ways to do it
Right, of
versus
course.
how we were raised, where it was very more aggressive or angry.
How we were raised is that we were raised by like authoritarians, which is like they don't care. They just want to be the boss.
Yeah.
There's a difference
No
between being a
questions
boss.
asked.
There's a difference between being a boss and being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
A boss just wants to. They just want to succeed by any means. They're like whoever makes the machine move or brings them to success. Like it don't matter. Like about them. It only
Yeah.
matters if the boss succeeds. A leader is somebody who is like, yo, if I eat, we all eating.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put in a plan because your well-being is important to me as well. So as your leader, your well-being is my well-being.
Yeah.
Like no man left behind type of shit. So yeah, man, I think that's where we start to excel in our generation, and we just kind of, we start to make it a little bit easier. And again, we can't let go of that pushing through the feeling shit, but sometimes when you're in your feels, bro,
Yeah. It's just being more.
you got to take a break.
It's just about being more open-minded
Yeah.
and understanding and being able to communicate effectively.
And we'll talk more about that in our next episode, because I'm pretty sure the next episode is the power of vulnerability.
Yeah.
So that's something we'll definitely touch on for sure.
All right, cool.
So
Do you
let's,
want to do questions?
Yeah, let's do a couple questions. We'll do like 2, and then we'll bring them home.
Okay.
All right. You want to go
Sounds good.
first? You want me to go first?
So how about you go first?
Okay.
And then I'll ask the audience the
Okay.
question that we will end it with then.
Oh, you're gonna ask? Okay, cool. I like it. All right, so go ahead, hit me. Or you want me to go 1st?
Mhm.
Me first?
Yes.
Okay. So, what are some red flags that you look for in people's behavior? Hi, Thor. Are you gonna answer the question?
Red flags in people's behavior.
Yeah, like what are some red flags that you look for in people's behavior?
I think it's just how would I word this? I feel like it would be the consistency or repetitiveness of their behaviors. Like
Okay.
if, I'm a very understanding person, especially from where I come from, right? So I feel like when at first, if something happens, I can be very understanding to, I can't, I just love him. But no, I could be very understanding at first because, like I said, I've come through things. You know what I mean? Like, I've dealt with them. I've been there. So, like, I am very understanding at first. But when you continuously keep coming to me with the same type of energy
Red flag.
and it just doesn't stop.
Red flag.
Literally.
Red flag. Sorry.
That would be like one big thing for me because then it just shows me that you really don't have any desire to be self-aware or have any desire on healing whatever you have going on. And for me, I just don't want that in my life or around me. So slowly but surely, I'm going to end up distancing myself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What would be your red flag?
I mean, if I had to really hone in on a red flag for me as far as behavior from somebody that would make me be like, I hate a person who always got shit to say about somebody who's not in the room.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Bro, I'm sorry. Shut the fuck up. It's really that simple.
Yeah, because my biggest thing, if you're going to talk about them in front of me.
What are you saying about me when I ain't in the motherfucking room?
Yep.
I'm tired of those type of people. That's the most. I'm sorry. And then
that would have to be a big number one for me.
And then it's the upgrade to that, because it be that type of person, and then they want to take it a step further and try to loop you in on shit. You know what I'm saying, girl? Right? That bitch is, and then they want you to. So then when they get caught. Girl, that was me and so, and we was fucking not gonna. And
don't drag me into that nonsense.
I'm good. Stay the fuck away from me, bro.
Yeah,
that has to be my biggest red flag.
I've definitely lost friends for that type of behavior.
Biggest red flag, and I don't really care who you are, honestly. Family, friends, I really don't like that shit unless I am sharing a similar problem with that person. Like, cause that's one thing. Me and you, we dealing with the same difficult fucking person. Me and you talk about said difficult fucking person because their actions are affecting both of us simultaneously. Yeah. That's one thing.
And it's like, how do we navigate that?
Yeah, because we're venting together, I think, in a sense. And I'm not here to bash that person. I'm here to go, yo, I know you're dealing with it too. How do we get through that? How do we handle it? Do we do this?
What have you been thinking?
We're trying to come up with a game plan to navigate this effectively, usually in a healthy manner. Yeah. So it's like, but yeah, bro, if you just waiting for somebody to walk out the room to pop shit, like you've got, that's a huge red flag for me.
And I feel like everybody deals with that. That is something that is such a common,
the type of people I don't want to be around.
Theme.
Bro, I try to say nothing but good thing about the people I chill with when they're here, whether or not. Ask anybody, bro. Ask anybody about what I say about anybody. Like, if you're not in the room, first of all, if I ain't got nothing nice to say, I don't even say it at all. I'd rather man, I'd rather just, my mama taught me to not say shit. If I don't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, when it comes to that, I definitely don't want to, I don't want to be around that. That's got to be a big red flag for me.
Yeah.
For sure, hands down.
I agree. That's something I just despise, honestly, at this point in my life.
Mm-hmm. All right, what you got for me?
Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
How do you recognize when you're starting to internalize someone else's negativity? And what are some physical and emotional signs? It's a two-parter.
Okay, so the big one for me, when I know I'm internalizing somebody else's negativity, and I'm almost certain y'all have done this, bro. Y'all ever argued with that person while they're not even with you? Because you know everything they're going to say, because you're internalizing all of their negativity. So now you're like schizophrenic. You first give them a voice, right? You give them some sort of negative, annoying voice. You're like, oh, well, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you text me? Come on, you didn't even answer my phone calls. And then you're like, I didn't fucking answer the fucking phone call because I was fucking busy. And dude, I've done that while driving with nobody in the car. That's when I know that I'm internalizing all the negativity. Instead of trying to figure it out in a healthy manner, I'm internalizing it and thus creating negative scenarios out of it and painting this negative picture and becoming this negative author of this story that doesn't even fucking exist, bro. That's when I know, and that would add to the second part.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that's gonna cover the second part is how do I feel it emotionally and physically, bro? I start doing it, like I'm living it. It becomes insane. Where I'm like I said, I make up the whole scenario, bro. I've argued with you, like because we've had like a disagreement here, actually.
Yeah.
And then when I'm not with you because of how much I've internalized it or carried it with me, I've argued with you more in the car while you're not there, bro.
I talk shit to myself. Like when something really pisses me off with somebody.
You ever respond to somebody's text message verbally? You don't type it to them. Yeah. But you read it and you're like, you motherfucker. You know what the fuck is bro, done that.
Or you times. Like type out a whole paragraph and you like erase it. You're like, you know what?
You have to blow it off your screen. You go,
never mind.
And then fuck that.
Never mind.
And then the 3 dots just disappear on our end. So then you're like, I know that's going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
You saw me type in and now you're saying shit. You know what I mean? That's when I know. When all that starts to happen, when all that petty Kruger shit and all that petty shit starts to happen, that's when I know, bro, that it's we've done too much.
Yeah.
I'm already handling it in the worst way possible. I'm stressing myself the fuck out. Yeah, bro, that's right there. That's the one.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. That was easy. As soon as I heard that question, I'm like, yo, that's when I know, bro.
All right, one more question, right?
Yep, I got one more for you. All right. So, what are your thoughts on forgiveness and moving forward after a difficult interaction?
Oh, I'm huge on forgiveness. I am like
I'm huge on forgiveness. Sorry.
am like the queen of excusing bad behavior and being very forgiving. And my problem with that is
But it's like almost to a fault.
that has been taken advantage so many times to the point where I have gotten to a point where I told myself time and time again that I would no longer do that. And then I continue to do it. Up until probably within this last year and a half, 2 years, have I really been like putting my boundaries in place and being like, no, you do not get to keep doing that to me.
Yeah.
And that's
I shall not stand for this.
And that's been with a lot of people. And now I'm kind of on the wavelength of like, I will be forgiving, but if you don't show any type of effort into actually repairing what I'm forgiving, taking accountability, having open conversation, having tough conversations, being willing to put in that effort to show that you're deserving of my forgiveness.
Yeah.
That's the make or break it. Like, if you're not going to do those things, then I'm out. And I don't want nothing to do with you anymore. We don't have to leave on bad terms. I don't hate you.
It's respectfully. Honestly,
But
respectfully.
I will forgive myself for dealing with it or putting whatever part into it. But I can't keep forgiving people who are going to misuse me.
Well, I also think, too, with forgiveness, right? Like, before forgiveness comes, an apology needs to be presented.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And an apology is only as good as the action that follows it. So it's like,
I always say actions speak louder than words.
if I forgive you, right, that's me opening the door to say, hey, here is your chance to show me that you are going to do better. Like you said, right? You said, I'm sorry. It won't happen again. Here's the opportunity. And yeah, man, I feel you.
Actions.
I'm right there with you when it comes to, I feel like I do it to a fault. You know what I mean? You forgive people to the point where you feel taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And I think that's,
for me,
it's
actions.
like a blessing and a curse, right? Because it's like, I'm a man of God. I know forgiveness is kind of like part of the rules.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The big G
But
upstairs.
again,
The big G upstairs says you got to forgive him, man. You don't hold that resentment, which, bro, sometimes you do have to just forgive and let go, too. Like, just because you forgive somebody, sometimes people think I be forgiving them for them. I'm not doing that shit for you, bro. I'm doing that shit for me. I'm forgiving you because I need to.
But I will say,
I don't want to hold that. You know what I mean?
I will agree with you, but I will say one thing that I've learned on my healing journey is if I'm forgiving you for myself, I don't have to tell you that I forgive you. I can forgive you in my own peace and quiet in my own bubble and just deal with and process whatever it is that I'm going through and be like, you know what? I forgive them. It's cool. But they will never get that chance to do that to me again. But I don't have to physically sit in front of you and be like, I forgive you. You don't need to know I forgive you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to still forgive you for myself, like for my own mental well-being. But I don't need to have a conversation with you about it to do that. That's one thing that I've learned. And it is extremely helpful because there are people that I have forgiven that have no idea that I've done that.
You just don't harbor that resentment anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I let go for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Actions will always speak louder than words.
Hell yeah, man. That's a big one.
All right.
Hit me with it. What you got, girl? And then we gonna bring them home.
How can dealing with difficult people actually foster personal growth and resilience?
How can it foster
Personal growth and resilience.
Well, I mean, we just spoke about that, right? Like, we just spoke about, like, how sometimes you need to push through and you need to still have resilience and perseverance and determination. And dealing with difficult people, it presents a challenge every single time.
Well, because it's going to be different every time.
And like every challenge, right? Facing that challenge head on is something that allows you to work on the skill of dealing with difficult people. So,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It fosters resilience by, once again, offering the challenge. And if you're up for the challenge, then you're willing to go through the trial and errors of navigating it, which if you're willing to do that, because that's the first thing. You have to have the willingness to deal with difficult people. Because sometimes you could just tell somebody to go fuck themselves.
Art of saying no.
Which is fine. You know, you can tell them to fuck off, dude. But then you're not necessarily handling the difficult person in a way that's constructive, or you're not turning it into a teachable moment. You know what I'm saying?
Or a learning experience for yourself.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it fosters resilience by presenting that challenge. And if you have the willingness to try to complete said challenge or become successful in that challenge, then you're willing to take on the trial and errors of learning to be understanding, learning to be empathetic, learning to alter your perspective and be someone who is willing to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and maybe even someone who has the willingness to extend a friendly hand and say, hey, like, what's going on, and things of that nature. So that's definitely where it fosters the resilience part. What was the other part of your question, really quick, if you don't mind me asking?
I think that was
just the resilience part
and personal growth.
Well, yeah, which yes, okay, yeah, because then you grow as a person. You're better at understanding. You're better at being empathetic, like I said, and those are the things that
it helps you navigate tough situations too. Because when you're because the thing is you're gonna come across difficult people your entire life.
Well, yeah, they don't go away.
Because like I said, there's numerous factors that. Are they fearful? Are they intimidated? Are they just lacking communication skills? Like, do they have like traumas that are unhealed? Like there's so many different forms of difficult people. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just like a learning curve too. Like, how are you able to handle and navigate those situations?
Oh yeah.
Which is part of your personal growth. Like, the better you become at them,
well,
I feel like
it's a skill. Of course, you're gonna grow the more you do it.
Yeah.
But you can't run away from it, because then you miss out on the growth part.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you don't get good at saying no, or quote unquote protecting your peace, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you just turn the difficulty away, then it doesn't necessarily have an impact on you. But also, you miss out on the growth part. You miss out on the becoming empathetic. You miss out on the becoming more understanding, because that's a skill that you're not putting into use by navigating around the bridge instead of crossing it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think those are big. Yeah. So what's up, girl? I know we normally finish our episodes with a question for our followers, and I know that you're gonna bring us home tonight, baby. So what do you got for them?
So, my lovely, lovely friends that are tuning in with us.
To all the feelers.
I like that.
Dude, I was practicing that in the car. I'm glad it hit. You saw that. To all my feelers in the crowd. Sorry.
So like we end every episode, we want to send you guys off with a question. So obviously drop it in our socials, in the comments, subscribe, like, share, all the good stuff. So for you guys, what are some strategies for dealing with difficult people? What are some challenges that you may have faced in those situations? Share your experiences with us on all of our socials and drop the comments below.
Heck yeah, because you guys never know when the why in your story is silent and it becomes our story. Because that's how our community grows, guys, by sharing, because sharing is caring. And until next episode, which is the power of vulnerability, man. I can't wait to get into that episode. I'm actually excited for that one. And
that one's gonna be deep.
Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, that follow button. And until next time, man, keep feeling,
keep sharing,
and keep it real within the feels. Dude, 6. 6, 6, 6, 6, 6.